I dislike unexpected events. The world doesn't owe you anything. It's a harsh, unfeeling entity that takes everything you offer and demands more. Therefore, when I arrived home a day ahead of schedule from the hospital, I wasn't anticipating a welcoming scene. I was expecting an empty house, quietness, the familiar tranquility of habit. Yet, what greeted me instead were they. I stood in the entranceway for quite some time, struggling to comprehend my senses. It wasn't a moment of fury or disbelief or even astonishment. It felt more like the calm before a storm, the eerie quietude that precedes an eruption. There they were, in our bed, occupying the same space where we once discussed dreams and eternity, their forms entangled as if a knot that should never have been tied. He gazed at me, but there was no familiarity in his gaze, just an indifferent, casual glance. She didn't look at me once. I closed the door behind me. No words were spoken, no sounds heard. I'd be dishonest if I said I wasn't aware already. The rumors had been circulating. I sensed the quiver in her touch, the void in her tone, and the gradual emptiness in her smiles. I noticed the subtle fissures, the cracks, a late night at work, cryptic phone calls, and the growing distance. It wasn't infidelity. It was the slow disintegration of what I believed to be unbreakable, constructed meticulously over years. When it shattered, I watched it crumble without attempting to halt it. The day I returned home, I didn't shout or yell. I didn't have to. I merely left and took the necessary steps. I contacted the locksmith first, altered the locks, reprogrammed the security codes, then dispatched an email to her, succinct, clean, and methodical. We're over. I've handled everything. I terminated all cards, severed access to accounts and assets. All the ties that bound us were now cut, without a second thought. The house was mine now. The business was mine now. Silence filled the void, loud enough. Weeks elapsed. She anticipated my return, thinking I'd beg for forgiveness, a common assumption. They thought I'd be weak, submissive, maybe apologetic. Contrarily, I allowed days to extend into months, the gap between us widening until our names' silence became dense. Yet, even when one believes they've moved on, there's always a way to reconnect. One evening, sitting solitarily in my new office, the one she had persistently urged we should share, now vacant save for me and my seething anger, the call arrived. It wasn't her, but him. He believed I wouldn't identify his number or recognize his intrusion into my life and bed, trying to assert ownership. He aimed to belittle and diminish me. I answered the call without responding. Hearing my breath on the line, he stumbled. I knew what followed, and I was aware of the sensation it would evoke. He assumed our encounter would involve pleading or negotiation of some sort. I allowed the tension to escalate, then delivered the decisive blow without raising my voice or making accusations. Instead, I presented the truth. For weeks, I've been monitoring you, I stated. I've tracked your accounts, recorded every move, documented every expense, and have pictures of you in our bed. I have evidence against you. A brief silence followed, a satisfying pause. Then I casually mentioned, a lawyer is ready to take your call. Legal proceedings have already begun. You're finished. After another lengthy pause, the truth dawned on him like a chill wind. He was no longer in control. He never had been. I ended the call and shifted my focus back to my work. The consequences were not immediate. They were unavoidable, like the gradual crumbling of a cliff before it finally tumbles into the sea. Her reputation was shattered. His career lay in ruins. The assets they thought they owned are now under my control. I had meticulously planned and unearthed every secret, leaving them with their mistakes looming overhead. She repeatedly attempted to contact me, her messages growing increasingly panicked. Yet, by the time she got through, I had already filed for divorce, non-negotiable terms for both of us. The life we constructed crumbled in an instant. Word travels fast, as it always does. Rumors swirled. They'd call it betrayal, infidelity, her actions, his. Yet, what they failed to grasp and would never comprehend was that none of it mattered. The embarrassment, the gossip, not even the tears. I had found my freedom. Freedom isn't boisterous. It doesn't make a noise. It just is. The day she came knocking at my door, seeking forgiveness and a chance to repair things, was the last time I saw her. She said little. No remorse, no admission of fault. Only a look, one of hopeless understanding. She couldn't win me back then, and never would. In that instant, Everything became crystal clear. I never required her. I never needed them. I let the doors softly shut as she departed, uttering neither a whisper nor a sigh. The tempest had abated. I was discharged ahead of schedule from the hospital, and upon my return home, I discerned the truth. Yet, what took me by surprise was the feeling of liberation that ensued. This was the tranquility that followed the storm, the stillness that ensued after the world crumbled, and finally, I was unshackled.